All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're talking about something I think a lot of us are feeling, that sense that no matter how hard you work, you're just not getting ahead. We're going to break down this new affordability crisis, get into why it's happening, and most importantly, talk about a really powerful step you can take to start fighting back.
I mean, it's such a weird feeling, right? You hear on the news that the economy's great, but your own bank account is telling a totally different story. You might even get a raise, but it feels like you have less breathing room than before. If that sounds like you, trust me, you are so not alone.
And look, this isn't just a gut feeling. We've got the data to back it up. Check out this number, 24%. And here's what's so wild about that. We're not talking about low-income households here. No, this is the percentage of families earning well into six figures. We're talking between $100,000 and $150,000 a year who are living paycheck to paycheck. That's according to research from PYMTS. Their entire income, gone, just to cover the basics.
So that leads us to this big idea, what experts are now calling a structural affordability crisis. And that word structural is key. This isn't about you making bad choices with your money. It's a huge economy-wide shift that's basically rewriting the rules for all of us. So you gotta ask, why the disconnect? I mean, on paper, everything looks pretty good, right? GDP is up, unemployment is low, but those big picture numbers, they're kinda hiding what's really going on inside our homes. They don't show the financial stress that comes when the cost of just living feels totally disconnected from those positive headlines.
And this brings us to a really fascinating concept called the resilience paradox. See, the economy looks resilient because, well, people are still spending money. But here's the twist. It's not because they're buying fancy TVs or going on vacation. No, they're spending because they have to, just to survive. They're draining their savings or swiping the credit card for groceries, just trying to make it to the next paycheck.
And this quote, wow, it just hits so hard because it gets to the human cost of that paradox. It's not resilience at all. It's a state of resignation and endurance. It's that feeling of constantly juggling your bills, like you're playing this impossible game of financial chess just to keep your head above water. So, what does that endurance actually look like in real life? Well, 2/3 of people are cutting back on everyday stuff. A third are borrowing from family or picking up a side hustle. But this last number, this is the one that really gets me. A staggering 70% of people who are struggling can't save a single penny. They are, as the research says, literally one emergency away from disaster.
Okay, so that's the what. Now let's get into the why. How on earth did we get here? How can it be that more families than ever have two people working, but they feel more financially shaky than their parents ever did?
So what's the deal? What's really driving this crisis? You hear the classic argument all the time, right? Oh, people are just spending too much on avocado toast and new iPhones. But is that what's really happening? Let me tell you, the data tells a very different story.
Yeah, this right here, this totally busts that myth wide open. The truth is, once you adjust for inflation, the average family today spends less money on things like clothes, food, and appliances than they did a generation ago. So where's all the money going? It's being absolutely devoured by the insane costs of the big, non-negotiable stuff: housing, healthcare, and childcare. Those are the real budget killers.
And this gets to the heart of an idea from Elizabeth Warren's book called The Two-Income Trap. Think about it. A generation ago, if the main earner lost their job, the other parent could go get a job, and that was your safety net. But today, that second parent is already working full-time, and their whole paycheck is just going to cover the mortgage and the daycare bill. There's no backup plan left. That's the trap.
And this is the really wild, kind of mind-bending result of all this. After you pay for all those massive fixed costs, the typical two-income family today often has less spending money left over than a single-income family did a generation ago. Let that sink in. More income has somehow led to way more risk.
Okay, so that's the problem. And I know it feels huge. It feels structural, because it is. But that doesn't mean you're helpless. So now let's talk about how you can build your own structural solution.
Look, if that old safety net, the second income, is gone, then it's up to us to build a new one. And that new safety net? It's a financial buffer. It's an emergency fund that's liquid, that you can get to, and that you are totally in control of.
But, and this is a big but, where you keep that money makes a huge difference. Just sticking it in a regular old savings account at your brick-and-mortar bank, that's not gonna cut it anymore. You need your savings to be working just as hard as you are.
And this chart right here shows you exactly why.
The average interest rate you get on a standard savings account is tiny, like 0.59%. But these things called high-yield savings accounts, they're mostly from online banks that have lower costs. They're offering rates like 4.21%. The difference in how much your money can grow is it's night and day.
Let's just put that in perspective. That's over 7 times the earning power for your money. For doing the exact same thing, saving money, you could be earning 7 times more in interest just by picking the right account. That's how you start building a buffer that actually, well, buffers you.
So, what should you look for in one of these accounts? It's actually really straightforward. First, you want the highest APY. That's the annual percentage yield, basically the interest you earn over a year. Second, and this is a big one, no monthly fees that'll just eat away at your earnings. Third, find one with a low or no minimum deposit so you can start with whatever you have. And finally, super important, make sure it's FDIC or NCUA insured. That just means your money is protected up to $250,000.
And listen, these aren't some weird, hard-to-find things. They're real banks, totally accessible online. You can see right here, as of this recording, there are tons of options offering 4% APY or even more, and many of them let you get started with $0.
And you know what? Getting started takes like 5 minutes. Seriously. You pick an account, you apply online, you link it to your regular checking account, and then, and this is the absolute key, you set up automatic transfers, even if it's just $25 a week. When it's earning over 4%, it starts to add up fast. You're putting yourself first, and you're building that safety net on autopilot.
All right, so we've looked at the problem, we've looked at a solution, so what's the one big thing you should walk away with?
It's this. Feeling this financial squeeze, it is not your fault. It's not a personal failure. It is a massive structural problem. But the cool thing is, now that you understand the structure of the problem, you can take a structural step to fight back by building your own financial buffer in a place where it can actually grow. And that really leaves us with one last question to think about. In this new economy, this world of the two-income trap, where that old safety net is just gone, maybe the most powerful tool we have is the one we build ourselves. Is a personal, high-yield savings buffer the new second income? Is that the thing that can finally give us all a little bit of breathing room?